Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. I am Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what else they're in for today.
Oh, we'll get into night one of the Wildcard playoffs in the baseball world. We'll have Rob Chaves, the man, the play-by-play guy with the BC Renegades, will join us at 7:30. We'll have our waiver wire Wednesday at 8 o'clock.
Hopefully help you guys out.
We'll have Sal Bruno, the man, the 559 fighter, joining us back in studio at 8:30. Text in your questions, fantasy, whatever you got, anytime at 661-842-2000.
I can't wait to catch up with our guy, Sal. It's been far too long since he's been in that chair, but there is way too much to talk about in the world of sports. And if we have time, we'll also get to this entire Napheesa Collier situation in the WNBA, her calling out the WNBA for lack of accountability.
So much drama.
There's a joke there, but I'm going to leave it alone. But let's start in the world of baseball, because that's what everybody was talking about. That's what everybody was watching all day long yesterday or listening to right here on ESPN Bakersfield. You can hear every single game starting at 9:30. 9:30. That's when the pregame starts, at least for the Tigers and the Guardians. And then you'll go all the way to 6 o'clock with the Reds at the Dodgers. Hopefully, for you Dodger fans, you'll be wrapping it up tonight, because by God, did it just look like two completely different teams last night.
Reds did not look prepared.
You know what's funny? I'm watching this game, and I don't even know if it's the Reds weren't prepared or Blake Snell was over-prepared. Because Blake Snell came out, and I can't even just say Blake. Every pitcher. Ace, every single one. Blake Snell, Crochet, Freed, I mean, the list, Skubal, all of them came out to play outside of Hunter Green. Hunter Green, as much as I love the kid, he's a fire thrower, and you heard me talk his graces yesterday, give him his flowers, but you could tell that boy was absolutely nervous. I mean, playing against your favorite team growing up in your hometown, I don't blame him. I do not blame him. But the Reds pitching, giving up 10 runs to the Dodgers, ain't no way you're catching up to that. And you know what's funny is the relief pitching still tried to
lose it.
They still tried to lose it. And it was right. You know what's funny too is it was right after I'm texting my brother-in-law, who's a diehard Dodger fan. And I was even joking with him saying, "Oh, Snell going all 9?" Because it looked like it at the time. He was through 6, maybe 60 plus pitches, dominating the game. And he said, you never know. Maybe we'll see another starting pitcher go in there like Glasnow or something. And I told him, I was like, well, as long as you don't hand it off to the handful of relievers you guys decided to keep on the roster. And what did Dave Roberts do? Handed that ball immediately to those relievers who went about it. Vesia. I mean, I can't even remember how to pronounce the other guy's name. It's escaping me right now, but I'm sure Dodger fans are probably texting us right now.
Well, they were already nervous.
Oh, I guarantee they were. Because again, you hand it to anybody on that pitching rotation that is a relief pitcher, anybody with an RP next to their name, including Blake Trinan, it's a worrisome situation. You might throw that game away. But thankfully for you, you have the greatest baseball player of all time, and that is Shohei Ohtani.
Hernandez?
I mean, Teoscar did fantastic. That boy launched 2 home runs where I was like, there ain't no... Why is it still going? Why is it still going? Oh, okay, never mind. It's out of here. I mean, at this point, the Dodgers have turned around a stadium that 3 years ago, and they couldn't stop talking about this during the game. 3 years ago, this was the hardest or one of the hardest places to hit a home run. The balls usually just fall flat just because of the air and all of that kind of stuff. But now this organization, this roster has become so I don't want to say power hungry because that's not the right word, just a powerhouse, that they've literally made this field, this stadium, the most home run friendly stadium in 3 years. That's incredible to me. Turning around a stadium that's known for being a pitcher's just graceland, especially with the amount of history that you have as a Dodger organization with pitchers. And now you're all known for just hitting home runs out of it every single game. And this is what every Dodger fan has told me going into this series is the Dodgers are focused on doing one thing: score 8 to 10 runs and hope to God you can't catch them. Because that's how you're going to win games. That's how it's going to work out. You're going to lean on these hitters who all did fantastic last night, maybe outside of your catcher and a handful of others at the bottom of the lineup. But everybody you needed to step up did. And it turned into the biggest blowout of the night as the other 3 games went in pitching battles. I just couldn't get over the fact, and all I hear this morning too, especially on Unsportsmanlike, which I thought was funny, was Evan Cohen bringing up who's the better baseball player, essentially, Barry Bonds or Shohei Ohtani. Are we really having this conversation still?
Barry.
No. Barry. Not even close. I'm sorry. It's
Barry
Shohei.
has a longevity, so
as of right now. Here's the thing, though.
Give me a couple more years before I can jump ship.
I get that, and I think there's a lot of people that have the same mindset as you. But personally, to me, there is no better baseball player that has ever played the game, ever will play the game, Babe Ruth included, than Shohei Ohtani. You come out first batter,
Yes.
crushed it. I mean, at that point in time, I was sitting there looking at it saying, this game's over.
I thought he was going to hit the second at the second bat because it was right down the middle and they were showing the zone where he hits.
I will give this, though. There have never been 2 hitters in the history of baseball that I've looked at and said, every single time this guy comes up to the plate, it is most likely going to be a home run outside of Barry Bonds and Shohei Ohtani. And I know everybody says Barry is the greatest hitter they've ever seen. And it's rightfully so, even before the steroids. But that also has to be something that you chalk into there too, is that he was so scared that he was going to get left behind that he had to cheat.
Yeah.
So I think that goes against him a little bit.
It was a whole different league then, but I also I would slap myself if I didn't mention Ken Griffey.
Oh, 100%.
Because I had the same vibe. You know, Barry is probably the best I've ever seen in person, but Ken Griffey, I had the same vibe. Every time he got up to bat, I was like, good go. But yeah, I've never seen anybody like Ohtani.
It's the sweetest swing in baseball as Ken Griffey Jr., but even I can't say, and I'm a diehard Junior fan as well, but I can't even say he's in the same category. And as much as I was saying the other day or yesterday that, you know, Shohei's pitching should not account for his MVP voting as well, or shouldn't be accounted for in the MVP voting, rather. It has to be accounted for when it comes to being the best baseball player of all time. Because you're going to sit there and tell me this guy's a pitcher? A pitcher. Name any other pitcher that can launch home runs like this. I mean, again.
Well, out of those 4 games, do you see all of them sweeping tonight?
Sweeping? No.
Or do you think we're going to get some game 3s?
So I think we're going to get a handful of game 3s. I think the Padres will most likely show some fight tonight and pull off a win against the Cubbies. I love what I saw from the Cubbies in game 1, but relying on the long ball for them is a little bit of a different ask. And the Padres can get hot very quickly, especially with their lineup. Manny Machado, Tatis Jr. I mean, it really goes down. Jackson Merrill. All of these guys can get hot at any point in time and take a game away. I also expect the Cleveland Guardians to make a game or to make a series out of this. I think that Skubal had a great game for the Tigers, which led to the Guardians losing. But again, we've seen the Detroit Tigers fall on their face for the last 2 months of the season, or a month and a half of the season, however you want to really gauge it. And that didn't just go away. So I expect the Guardians to at least win game 2 today here at 9:30, and as well as the Padres. Now, when it comes down to the Red Sox and Yankees and Dodgers and Reds, I expect the Dodgers to wrap this up tonight. I genuinely do. I don't think the Reds have the offensive capabilities of keeping up at all, although I respect them and give them their flowers for getting this far and knocking out the Mets. Thank you again, Miami Marlins. Fish are friends, not food. But I think the Dodgers wrap it up, and I genuinely think the Red Sox wrap it up tonight too. Watching the Red Sox game last night, they made incredible plays. Garrett Crochet, again, like Skubal, an incredible game, threw over 110 pitches, 11 strikeouts, and 7 1/3, and was removed for their closer, Aroldis Chapman. That essentially is what the Dodgers want to do, by the way, every single game, have their starter go for 100-plus pitches, 7-8 innings, and then just throw out a closer to end it for everybody. Personally, I just think the Yankees made too many mistakes. The way you set up your lineup didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I mean, I've seen John Boy and all of their guys highlighted a lot in the last 24 hours, which was basically the way the Yankees set up their lineup. They threw away every batter on the bench, at least, that would have been beneficial to sub in later in the game against a left-handed pitcher in Aroldis Chapman. And by doing that, you killed yourself. I mean, you were right there in the game the entire time. The Red Sox did everything they could in terms of base running and just staying in the game. And that's how they ended up with the 3 runs. But the offense of the Yankees looked stalled out. The defense for the Yankees has looked stalled out all year. I don't believe in this Yankees team at all. Their record looks fine. The record looks nice. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't think they have what it takes to really uproot this team in the Red Sox that knows them probably better than anybody, which means the Red Sox be moving on here and probably taking on their other division rival and the Toronto Blue Jays here very, very soon. But outside of that, I do think 2 games will go 3. That's probably the safest bet. But as of right now, Dodger fans, get wrapped up. We'll see you in Philly because I think the Reds are done. The Cincinnati Reds, much like the Cincinnati Bengals, season's dead,
That's
baby.
why I had the question, just because it looked to me, anyways, the Yankees were cold.
Yes.
And they did not look like they should have been there.
Outside of the 2-3 hits they got in the first inning and Volpe's home run somewhere along the line of the 4th or 5th, I can't remember. What did we see? We really didn't see anything. This is coming I'll take that back, because the 9th inning they actually made it look like they were about to win this game. 3 straight singles from your top 3 guys, and Goldie, Judge, and Cody made it look pretty simple. And then you have arguably one of the best hitters in terms of a bases loaded situation walk up, and Giancarlo Stanton. I was looking at his stats last night when it comes to people on base and loaded the base, mind you. He's a 300 hitter with over 150 RBIs in that kind of a situation. Didn't get the game done. He didn't get it done. Chapman was able to shut down the next 3 batters and just kill everybody's hope in that stadium. And I think that's going to be a dagger as well. Because when you really look at the fan base and how they're going to be coming out today, already thinking we could have had this game wrapped up yesterday, Yankee fans are not happy about the way they lost yesterday. And when you suck all the air out of your home stadium, especially before a pivotal game 2, I don't see a lot of hope for the Yanks. I don't.
I personally think the Tigers and the Dodgers take it today.
Do you?
And we see a Padres and Yankees win today, and we get 2 games. Anyway, either way, we'll get hopefully some game 3 baseball on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of what we're waiting on programming wise, as we get baseball all day today, like we did yesterday. No Greg Kerr, no Money Wise. And then kind of regarding on what game 3 we get on Thursday, we'll kind of answer if we get a Greg Kerr and Money Wise show Thursday.
It might be just a baseball-filled week for everybody. And again, I apologize if you're looking out for the Greg Kerr show or the Money Wise show. They will be back on Friday. For sure, 110%. That is the thing. Possibly back on Thursday. So just listen out to ESPN Radio. We'll let you know if you'll have your regular programming or if we'll have some more Wildcard baseball for you to check out. Tonight's matchups, though, in terms of pitching, Casey Mize takes the mound for the Detroit Tigers against Tanner Beebe of the Guardians. We got Dylan Cease, one of the best pitchers that the Padres have, against Andrew Kittredge, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, for the Cubs. Briano Bello will be taking the mound for the Boston Red Sox against Carlos Rodon. And then we got Zach Little against Yoshinobu Yamamoto at the end of the day at 6 o'clock. We'll take a break real quick, pay some bills. We'll give you some more stories on the other side. Don't forget, we got Waiver Wednesday coming up at 8 o'clock. If you are a fantasy football player, we'll help you out with some guys to look out for this week going into week 5 of the NFL, especially with the bye week starting so early. I know a lot of you are hurting just like me, trying to find some people to fill these spots. So we'll take a break real quick. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield.
Still the best Metallica song.
No,
Nah, it's really not, but it's my favorite, so
it'll wake you up.
definitely. And it's one of those that I love watching them play live. If you've ever been to a Metallica show, it's different. It's different than a lot of metal shows that you'll see. But when they play certain songs, they'll change tempo or do something different just to, spice it up for themselves. But this one, they literally pick up the tempo with every verse, and it just gets faster and faster and faster and faster and faster until the song's finally over. But it's just awesome to watch. They also had one of the coolest drum. I don't even know if you can call it a solo.
It was really all four of them playing on like actual big old drums, and it was just really fun to watch. It was just entertaining. Wasn't expecting
Metallica's awesome live.
They are
especially when they go
live.
into their crazy solos and they'll play it for 5, 10, 15 minutes.
And nobody's complaining. Not a single person.
I'm really hoping they play at the Sphere.
I do too. That'd be really fun to see. I would love to see what they do, especially with the visualizations or the visual stuff, I should say, that they do with their concerts and the videos they like to put up, especially for songs like One, where you'll see a lot of like war videos and all that type of stuff. It's really interesting to watch.
Last time I saw them, they had like 50 drones that were flying around the whole show at SoFi. It was incredible.
God dang, man. Well, for going as long as they have, I guess you have to do everything possible to innovate yourself. And we can't necessarily say it's been their music that has kept us all there, because the last 2 albums have kind of been. Look, man, I'm a fan, but I'm not going to sit there and say Death Magnetica was a great album.
I like that album, actually. I did. When a world that we don't get a lot of rock, I enjoy it.
Very fair. I'm just saying. It's hit and miss sometimes with some of these guys. Let's talk a little football, though, because a major story broke this morning before our show started. We got to talk about this because we talked about it yesterday when the levee was going to break for the Cleveland Browns. And they were going to walk away from Joe Flacco, who, again, as much love as we have for Joe Flacco on this show and around the NFL, really, just had probably one of the worst, at least starts to a season that he's ever had in his career. It was not pretty. Definitely wasn't what we saw when he was with Indy. And at this point, what else do you got left to lose? If you're the Cleveland Browns, you're a quarter of the way through the season. You need to figure out which one of these 2 rookies that you drafted this year is going to be the guy. But to everybody's chagrin, they're going with Dylan Gabriel, the boy out of Oregon. Whether this means Shedeur Sanders will jump up into the potential backup spot?
Nope. He hasn't. And the more I read about this is the more that they're
not going to play him.
Gabriel is Stefanski's guy and Shedeur is the GM's guy.
Of course.
So there's a little mix up in the front office, but as of right now, when they announced it, Schefter did say Flacco is number 2 and Shedeur will stay at 3.
So here's my thought process, or at least my thoughts on this. If this doesn't work out, Stefanski's fired. I genuinely believe that. Especially if what Sparky is saying is true and we're getting butting of heads between the GM and the head coach of who's the guy. If Dylan Gabriel comes out and looks, well, like garbage, for lack of a better term, Stefanski's out of a job. We're talking about a guy, head coaches traditionally, when these things happen, they pick their guy and they ride with that guy. But much like, in this situation with Miami, your future with that organization gets tied to that guy forever. So much like Mike McDaniel, who's dealing with the same thing with Tua, if this don't work out, your job most likely will be removed.
You're part of that package.
It's true. And Stefanski's an offensive-minded head coach. Have we seen Cleveland's offense do anything since he's been the head coach? Really? Have they really been up to par of what you would expect a Kevin Stefanski offense to be? Defensively, they've pulled their weight every year. Every year Myles Garrett is there. Defensively, they're usually pretty solid. And I'm just saying, it baffles me every time I hear that the Cleveland Browns have a defense that's number 1 in the league or top 5 in the league, and they can't win football games because their offense can't score. Now, whether Dylan Gabriel can come in and change that, we will see. This next game is going to be very, very interesting. Personally, I wouldn't touch him in fantasy football until we see at least a week from him. But I mean,
I'm kind of screwed because in my dynasty league where quarterbacks are very needy,
Yeah.
when they start 2 quarterbacks, I picked him late and put him on my practice squad.
Mhm.
I'm not going with him.
Mm-mm.
I have Dart, I have Rogers on a bye,
Mhm.
I have Hertz. So I'm like, okay, am I either going to go with Hertz and Wentz? What I believe he is actually playing the Browns in London.
Mhm.
So I'm like, Cleveland's D's been tough. I know Stefanski has won Coach of the Year multiple times. I just don't.
Not
I
because of
don't
his
trust
offensive
Gabriel
touchdowns, though.
as the team
Yeah.
as the Coach of the Year. But I don't think it's not bad timing. We knew kind of we were going to get Gabriel sooner or later. I don't know if I would have started him in an international game against Flores' defense, but hey, it's a quarterback. He's a starting quarterback now, so we're going to see what we see. And even earlier in Unsportsmanlike, they were saying it's Gabriel for the rest of the season. I
Wouldn't
still
surprise me.
think if Shador looks, if they're 2-8 here in a couple of weeks, I still see we kind of see Shador start.
Dylan would have to literally play himself out of the spot. Like I'm saying, like multiple picks, no touchdowns. Like it looks like their offense is completely in shambles. But I agree with you. I
Well,
think if it's bad enough, they have to switch it over.
This is what we expected. That's why they drafted 2 quarterbacks in this year's draft.
Exactly.
They're going to try to find if this guy can play, if not, if Shador can play.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying in general is that, like, dude, I don't believe in Dylan very much. I really don't. But at the same time, I don't exactly believe Shador is the answer either. I just don't believe in Cleveland as a whole. For some reason, we've said this a couple times, but there are certain organizations that just have organizational issues. And I think the Cleveland Browns are definitely one of them. But head scratcher to me that you're moving on from Joe Flacco, but not giving both of the guys a shot to actually win this spot. Neither of them looked great in preseason enough to sit there and say they were above the other. I thought for sure we would at least be having some sort of competition. Maybe they have in practice and we just don't know about it. But
I think it's more of, the quarterback 2 is the quarterback that gets reps and helps quarterback
Right.
1 in practice. So I think it's more of not really the order. I think it's more of just a veteran presence in practice.
that's possible, but I feel like you could still have that veteran presence there without him taking the reps. Just like
Just be a quarterback coach.
well, essentially, because I think about it. On the sideline, that's essentially what he's doing anyway.
Yeah.
But I also do kind of see the logic behind, the likelihood of him coming in and putting the Band-Aid on it and being that relief for them is much higher than sitting there saying, all right, kid, looking at Shador and throwing him in there and hoping to God that Shador can turn this around. So I do get that. Maybe you trust Joe Flacco a little bit more in this offense, but it doesn't seem like he's playing to the level of a starting quarterback or anybody that should really even be considered one at this point. So I don't know.
That whole division is just wild right now.
It is. And it's wild every year.
I mean, with Burrow out, now Lamar dealing with whatever injury that is, or
if it even is
it's
one.
even an official injury, and then Pittsburgh looking at 3-1 going into a bye week. So who knows? I do like Cleveland's running back. I do like Judkins, but we'll see. We'll see switching up a quarterback, how that'll help.
Exactly. And it really is going to be a big tell as well if he can, or if Dylan can come in and just ignite this offense. Because if he does, I'm taking everything back. I'll eat crow. I swear. Kevin Stefanski is a genius, and I'm just an idiot here in Bakersfield that knows nothing. But at this point right now, I'm very skeptical. I just don't understand why you go with Dylan Gabriel and not at least give both of them a shot. Because to me, there were flashes of more in preseason of Shador looking like a starter than Dylan. There's still areas of Dylan's game where I just don't get it. You don't have the arm strength. You don't have the mental capability yet. But obviously that comes with reps. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be one of those situations for the Cleveland Browns where you hope and pray this works out for you, but most likely will not. So we'll take a break real quick. On the other side, we got Renegade Rob Chaves talk all things BC football. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield.
And welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. We're also streaming video live every single day from 7 to 9 on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And as we always do on Wednesdays, it's time to talk to our guys over at BC. This time, only Renegade Rob with us, no Kenny Calvin. But, sir, how are you? How are things?
It's good to be on a bye week. Let's just say that.
Uh-oh. I am not hearing Rob. Why am I not hearing Rob?
Hopefully you can
That's
hear me.
not good. Give me one sec, Mr. Chaves. We got to figure this out. I'm not sure if it's on our end or yours, but we will figure this out. Actually, I could hear you through the stream. That's actually pretty interesting. I just can't hear you through our end for some reason on the radio side. Rob, real quick though, since you are visible or heard through the stream online for us, obviously heartbreaking loss against Pasadena City College over the weekend. How did this transpire? I mean, I know you texted us during the game saying that the dual quarterback situation isn't really working out as much as we were hoping it would. So what are your thoughts? I mean, you were there, you saw the whole thing. Does BC really just need to focus on potentially just choosing either Woods or Statler?
Yeah, and I think it's more encompassing than that as well too. When I said that, I think people automatically will kind of look back and see, okay, so what's the difference between
like
the
I said,
two?
I could hear him on the stream side, but we got
Yeah.
nothing on radio side.
Sorry about that. Hopefully you're able to hear me.
Exactly why.
But either way, I think that when you look back in the stats, or if anybody looks back in the statistics, because I was a statistic nerd.
I'm not
sure.
Nothing changed over here.
Nothing's changed on that side. Rob, I'm sorry, my brother.
Okay.
We're gonna take a break real quick. I'm trying to figure this out. We'll come back to you on the opposite side just because we're having some technical issues. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield.
Okay.
Act now and get our elite benefits.
All right. Now we should be good to go. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But we do have Renegade Rob now with us live. Sir, can you hear us? I know you can hear us, but can we hear you? Real quick?
We'll see.
There
You can hear me now.
There it is. Now we got you a little bit there. Fantastic. All right, sir. Well, back to my initial question. So BC obviously struggled in this game on Saturday. Dual quarterbacks being a problem, you say? I'm
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the dual quarterback system was really ever going to be the long-term answer. Just kind of looking at things, and before we had to kind of get interrupted and fix things. I was basically saying that if we were to take a look at some statistics between the two quarterbacks so far this year, but I think the one glaring stat there. He's been in another system as well too. Went to a North Texas team, which you see right now, they're actually doing pretty well. But it's he's seen success at a bunch of different areas. And again, no knock against Malachi. Had a hell of a season last year. Came in this year was showing some signs that he could take this over. But at the same time, it came down to momentum. Kenny's talked about it a lot. Kenny's the Hall of Famer. He knows what's up and he sees it, and he's seen it from the defensive side too. As I don't want to necessarily speak only for Kenny, but he even said that he could tell, as a player, when you see inconsistency, it's like blood in the water. And a lot of these offenses, really were just keying in on those things that they can kind of exploit on the offense, and they did. But really give it to Pasadena this past week. They even seen some things in our defense, some cracks there, and they exploited that as well too. So it's when you ask me how good I was, I'm doing okay. I'm glad that this program is on a bye. It's a perfect time for them to have the bye, so this way they can kind of collect themselves and get right back to things.
Well, like you said, going into a bye week.
I think it's getting back to the fundamentals. One of the things I asked the coaching staff, I texted them a lot on Sunday and basically asking how morale was. And for them, morale was like, it was okay. But at the same time, I asked them, okay, so on a bye week, what does this look like? You're going to give them off until Wednesday? They said, no, we're right back on the field on Monday. And so for me to hear that from a bunch of different coaches on all three phases of the game, it just tells me that they want these guys to start from scratch. Let's see what this looks like moving forward, because now they're in a situation, at this point of the season, 2-3. We talked about this last week, having to kind of run the table to be able to get into the playoffs, to be able to win this conference. That's even more stressed now. But more than anything, they just want this to be a successful season. Going into this season, there was a lot of people that were fans of this program, supporters of this program, and said, we're done going 6-4. We want to see some changes. And right now they're on pace for 4-6, and that's not very good in its own right. And they want to right this ship and make sure that the second half of the season they're taking care of business.
100%. There is still a chance that the Renegades can pull off the conference?
There is. They're going to need some help. They're not, masters of their own destiny. They've got to get some teams to or this conference to really cannibalize itself. But make no mistake, they've got to win the last 5 games. That would make them 5-2. But I can tell you this: I was incredibly impressed. Of any team that we played this year, and really over the last 4 years, I was incredibly impressed with Pasadena, because that team, I mean, putting up 35 points against what I can still consider the best defense in the state of California, that was a statement there. Again, they got a defensive touchdown and they got a special teams touchdown, but they put up 3 touchdowns on offense in that quarter, and I think that was the biggest swing of momentum I've ever seen in a football game at any level. They were down 17-0. They barely got up on the board. Time running out in the first half. Got that little chip shot field goal, and we heard the interview on YouTube of their coach while we went off air, and he was very matter of fact. Had his head held up high. Said, I think I like what we see here. We're going to get some things changed in the locker room. We're going to come out and we're going to look for ways to win this game. And boy, did they.
Do you know what they really did to make those adjustments? Because you're right, 35 points unanswered is not exactly something that's easy to do in any sport.
All they did is that they made a game change in terms of a running back that they had. He was their lead back coming into the game. He hadn't touched the ball in the first half, but we made a mistake in kicking to their kickoff returner, and Desi Valdez. The guy was, again, me and Kenny were talking about it. Local legend Rodney Wright reminded us of that kind of a guy. He was just looked like he was shot out of a cannon. Ran the ball back 95 yards for a touchdown, and then a minute later we get an interception, pick 6, and all of a sudden the game is tied, and then that's when their offense started clicking.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, going into this bye week, we need some sort of just resurgence from the offensive side of the ball going into this game against Cerritos. What do we know about Cerritos? Obviously, in 2 weeks, this game will be at home, right?
Yeah, it's at home. It's homecoming. It's homecoming, yeah. So we're going to be excited about that. I mean, on the grand scheme of things, BC homecoming is always something that's great. Last year we had a good homecoming, but what we can expect out of Cerritos is a team that is rolling right now. They lost their opening game to Mount San Jacinto, not Mount Sac, but San Jacinto's having a good year. They lost to them, and they've just rattled off 4 wins in a row, including a real tough win against Canyons, a Canyons team that beat Pasadena 2 weeks ago. And they are an explosive offense. They've got one quarterback system. They got a guy that's already thrown for he's averaging about 250 yards a game in the air. He's got 4 very capable receivers. He's got 2 really good running backs. So they are a complete offense, and they're a pretty stout defense as well too. I wouldn't say that they're as good as what Pasadena showed in the second half against BC, but I would say that they're a formidable defense. That's for sure.
Well, I'll wrap this up with my final question. Both of our teams got a win in the NFL this week.
Yes, they did.
And we both lost our number 1 wide receiver.
Yes, we did.
It's bittersweet. We got a win, but what was your thoughts on seeing Jackson Dart out there?
I love it. It was exciting. It was kind of a little bit like BC. We're running here with 2 quarterbacks, and it's like, and I think everybody on the in the crowd knows, up in the booth we know, hey, go with the guy that we think that's going to be the one that's going to lead you to some wins, or at least some excitement. And already from the very first drive that I seen with Dart, it was that excitement. I have not followed New York Giant quarterbacks really prior to the draft as much as I had with Jackson Dart. I'm a USC fan, so I got to see him at USC. I pay attention a lot to the SEC. Got to watch probably about 3 of his games last year, and I just said that this guy's super exciting. So when we drafted him, I thought, okay, we've got some promise here. I like it, and I like the fact that we had a bit of a bridge with Russell Wilson. That bridge wasn't too long, but either way, it was a way for this guy to be groomed by a couple of guys who've been in the league for a long time. And say what you will about Jameis Winston, the guy is able to to find some guys, whether it's his guys or not. He's able to find guys that are open. But I like just where the team looks right now. I know my son was very, very, very upset in the first few weeks watching this team and watching how we probably, could have won a couple of games. He even asked me, could we have beaten the Chiefs if we had Jackson Dart in the game? I said, I think you'd have had a better chance. And there was an opportunity there, but either way, it's good to have a guy that is your guy going forward.
Absolutely. I don't think you guys are bad at all. I keep looking at the
No.
roster. You have a guy at every position, really.
The defense is amazing. That defense reminds me a lot of the defense that we had when we were winning Super Bowls about 15 years ago, and it reminds me of the defense that I fell in love with when I was a little guy back in the 80s. It's that kind of excitement. The defense, minus the Cowboys in our division, is incredible. The Commanders I think the Commanders are probably the best defense in our division. And they're not too far better than the Eagles or the Giants. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, homecoming week is coming up, guys. We got this week off. Excited to finally see your guys' new studio that's going to be coming up. We might be at a new vantage point next home game. I think we're working out the particulars, but there's a chance that Kenny and I are going to be on the concourse level of the visitors side. So we're going to make some changes there. But again, we've got Hall of Fame that's next week. I got my ticket. I know there's a bunch of people that are getting their tickets as well. It's nearing sellout. You got two guys that played in the NFL that are going in. So if you want to be able to be there, rub some elbows with some of the BC greats, come in and see. It's also a good class besides that with former coach and quarterback, former athletic director Jan Stubbe, Rick Van Horn, my former high school coach, who I got a chance to talk with yesterday at work. It's going to be exciting. And then we've got the alumni barbecue that's coming up after that on right before the game on the 11th. So there's a lot of excitement. And again, it's free to get in.
Absolutely. So even for the tickets for the Hall of Fame and stuff like that, that's all free.
Oh no, Hall of Fame, get your tickets at Yeah, tickets are $150. You got to go to Go Gades or go to Bakersfield College, and you can type that in. I know the Go Gades site doesn't necessarily immediately take you there. It's a little bit hard. I Googled Bakersfield College Athletics Hall of Fame. It got you straight to it, and it's going to be exciting. It's at the Luigi's Warehouse. You're going to get at least a good meal out of that, and the rest of it goes towards the Bakersfield College Foundation. That's there. So they do really good things for a lot of our players and student athletes that are coming from out of the area and making sure that they have their necessities for school. So that's pretty cool. And again, it helps out the rest of the student athletes too, including Carlos Villa. Again, Carlos, not his fault. Got a kick block. Otherwise he'd have been perfect, but he's still our favorite kicker.
Every kicker got a kick block this weekend. College, pros. I mean, I don't think there's a single field goal that didn't get blocked.
It's an epidemic, I can tell you that.
I'm telling you, man. People are figuring it out. They don't have to push that lineman up there to get up anymore. Real quick before we let you go, since you already brought up Jackson Dart being a USC guy, I am also a massive diehard Trojan fan. Fight on. Are we counting him as a USC quarterback? In the NFL? I don't think we really can, but I mean, hey, he played for a year.
Yeah, I mean, he played for a year. He's a former. I mean, and now in the days of NIL, you're gonna. Hey, you played a year. That's good enough for me. Caleb Williams played for 2 quick years, and yeah, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. That's always going to be down there in SC. So hey, he's a quarterback. But no, the Ole Miss has adopted Jackson Dart, and he's an Ole Miss guy.
You know what? This game against the Saints is going to be great. If you don't think those Ole Miss fans are going to travel to New Orleans to go watch that game, you're crazy. This is a homecoming for him in itself.
Hey, it's the Manning backyard. We expect to see the whole Manning family as well there. It's going to be a great game. Shout out to my buddy Anthony. He works over at Costco, known each other for a long time. Probably the most diehard Saints fan I know. And hopefully, yeah, no, there's not a lot, but he's incredibly diehard. And may the best person win. Maybe we'll bet a Costco hot dog or a chicken bake on it.
Have you seen this inside of a chicken bake and the cheese on top.
With the pizza cheese on it? Yes, I have. Yeah. All I know is I see that guy, those guys from New York. We're Costco guys. Of course we have the chicken bake inside the hot dog, inside the pizza. Appreciate again having us, and again we'll see you guys next week.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special, Hour 2, right here on ESPN Bakersfield. I want to thank Rob Chaves for helping us out. What's up?
We got the craziest damn morning, dude.
Dude, I wish I could pull back the curtain for
Poor
everybody.
Billy, man. I thought he was getting electrocuted just a second ago.
You know what? With the way things are wired sometimes,
We're dealing with Rob Chavez, and then I was like, what?
the heck
And it was
just
just black over here. But no, we've got one of our best favorite fighters back in studio.
Mr. Bruno, sir, how are you? Have we changed the walkout song yet? Come on, we got to get. We're already running out of time on this Coco.
I know. I'll do it. I gotta wait for the timing.
It's true. Everything's about timing.
Yeah.
Well, how are you? How are you feeling before your next pick? Actually, no, before we get to the next one, let's talk about the one that you had the last time you were here. And how did that go?
That was good.
Yeah,
You saw the results.
I did, but let everybody know exactly what happened and how you pulled it off.
Yes, the fight was I took it on 11 days notice.
Mhm.
We didn't wait, obviously. And beat him in the first round. KO. Yeah, there was only 1 second left in the round. So it was nice.
Nice.
It was 4:59, round one. I hit him with the knee right at the end, and then his eyes rolled back. And I was like,
Night.
yeah, I was like, this is it. This is the end. So,
Well, I mean, again, on 11 days' notice, I don't know a lot of fighters that could pull off a knockout win, let alone a win in general with that little time.
I mean,
this off.
if you guys see what my lifestyle was a couple weeks before that fight, you'd
Probably understand a little bit.
you'd be pretty surprised that I won. I mean,
Really?
I was eating and sitting around. And,
Well, I mean, it is your off time, so I guess
Yeah.
that would.
I was coming off that other fight, and then I had probably took like 3 weeks, almost a month, like, to come back to training. And then I was only training for like 2 weeks, but it wasn't hard training. It was like just touching mitts and stuff. And then they were like, "You want this fight?" And it was 11 days. So I had no hard training up until it was just my camp before that I put in the work for that kind of
Yeah,
went into the
preparation.
next fight.
So how much weight did you have to lose? 11
It
days.
was actually tough. He was like, "Oh," they were like, "You want to fight at 145?" I said, "Yes." They were like, "Never mind." He said, "No." And I said, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
Yeah, it's like you're asking
And
me
you guys
to fight
offered me. You offered me the fight at 145. I said yes. They're like, "Never mind." He said no. I was like, "Okay, then." This guy's, he kept doing this crap. And then they're like, the next day, my coach was like, "Hey, they want to do it at 150." And I was like, "Even better."
Yeah, right?
Because I'm fat right now anyway. So I was like almost 170.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, and
20
then
pounds ain't easy to lose.
no,
either.
and so like a lot of that initial water weight just sheds right off.
Absolutely.
There's so much water retention.
It's never been about you.
No, yeah, and then so like I had to cut 6 or 7 pounds of like straight water, but it kind of hurt. It felt kind of like making weight when I actually make weight in a proper weight class. So it was like, dang, it hurt pretty bad. But I got in there and performed. I rehydrated well. So
You just took it out on him.
yeah, I was like, mess.
Angered me before this fight.
yeah.
Well, obviously, you have plenty of time to go into this next fight that you'll be going into in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
It's in 19 days.
19 days.
It's yeah.
So obviously, you've had more time. What is the difference that you kind of have? Like, are you more comfortable going into this one now that you've had the proper amount of time to prepare for it?
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Or like, how are you really approaching this next?
Yeah, that was a rare occasion, kind of like that last time. That was like a short notice fight. So this is normal, like I had 8 weeks or so before they told me, hey, do you want to fight? So I said, okay. And yeah, I have the proper amount of time and everything put into it. So
Is it the same weight class?
I'm 145.
Okay.
So I attempted 135 again in May, and I didn't make weight. So for the first time, I failed weight, and the other one was a weird circumstance, catch weight, obviously short notice. So this is a proper weight class, 145. So.
Talk about that a little bit though, because I don't think a lot of people know what happens when a fighter doesn't make weight. Like, is there like a sense of pride for you guys when you don't
Yeah.
make weight? Like, how does that feel when you get that look and you're like, hey, dude,
There's a huge like it's very much looked at as like a disrespectful thing too. If you come in really overweight, it's almost looked at as like
Giving it
you're
your
so
all.
undisciplined that you're like you're not even trying to make weight. Which some guys do that, which that's bad, but it looks bad on them. But I really did legitimately try to make weight at 135 and got down to like 139.9, 139.8.
So it wasn't necessarily that far off.
It wasn't
still enough.
It wasn't terrible. I mean, it was pretty bad. I had to make 136, so I was, three pounds away, or something,
Right.
3 or 4. But I did try. Like, I tried my hardest. Like, after this last one, I got up to 177. That just goes to show you like how big I can get.
Yeah, and well, weight is such a weird
Yeah.
thing too. It fluctuates, and obviously, like you said, based on what you're doing and how you're eating, it can go up and down quickly.
It's as you age, too, you get a little denser. So,
Right.
So like now I'm 29 now. In my early 20s, I was walking around a little light, like a lot lighter and fairly easily. I can eat whatever, eat burritos.
And
And walk around at 155 pounds, and now it's not the case.
Well, I mean, you have to find things to enjoy it too at some
Yeah,
point. But,
yeah.
So who are we looking at here or your upcoming fight? Size them up for us. What can we expect?
So this is going to be a classic grappler versus striker, fight. This guy's he's a wrestler, so he's going to look to hump my legs and
Take you down.
hold me down on the ground and make it boring. So
We just had a wrestler in here not too long ago claiming that wrestling is the best style of fighting for this combat stuff. How do you feel?
I agree. If you have like a Khabib level of grappling and you can hold people down and beat them up, great. And it can be exciting if you can be exciting with it. If you're actually beating people up on the ground and getting submissions, but you're being boring with it and you're just holding positions and your crowd is booing, you're kind of
You're just
you may be
wasting
winning. You might
everybody's
be winning fights and stuff, but man, people really don't want to see that.
Does that affect people like you guys calling them as well for fights? Like, when
Sure.
you know a guy is going to sit there and drain out the clock, you have nothing to do
Oh
with it.
yeah, especially if you're a striker. 'Cause you're like, why do I want to get myself up this guy? I mean, he's, uh, especially if they know their wrestling is weak, then the guy will be like, fighting grapplers, trying to avoid that. But you have to be able to, this is MMA. You got to be able to do everything.
Right. You have to be able to mix your bag, obviously.
Yeah.
What do you look for then when you're looking for a fight? When your group is like, you know what, we need to find him a good opponent for him to be able to beat. Who's like your perfect shot?
I kind of like guys that are just kind of well rounded.
Really?
Yeah, because we can kind of test each other's skills everywhere. But when a guy's really just grappling heavy and focused only on wrestling or something, it gets a little annoying because you're like, let's just fight already.
Yeah. I mean, at some point,
Stop
you have
hugging,
to let
man.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to let it go.
But it's part of the game, so if I can't complain about it.
Right.
I want to go do kickboxing.
Right. I mean, again, it's everybody's different. That's, I think what people like about MMA is every fighting style has its own unique like twist to it. Yeah. That's why I've always been curious. Like when these fights get made, you have to at least go about the guy and say, okay, he wrestles too much, or that guy, I'm not 100% sure if his strikes are even worth going up against. So, like, is that something that you guys have to really focus on? Like, obviously, you want to fight the best of the best everything.
Yeah. I think it's always looking at a guy that's kind of like near your level or close to it, or maybe you're trying to step it up. So,
have you ever tried to like take a shot at somebody that is probably just way above or
Yeah,
thinks they're way above you?
I did. I mean, I did in my pro day too. I fought a guy who was at a youth camp. He was an AK, and he was like from Chester, And I just fought some like Russian dude. It was my first fight. I don't even know how to say his name. It was like I can't even say it actually.
A little bit of trash talking
And
going back and forth.
yeah, I had a couple of opponent changes. It was actually supposed to be the guy I fought last. It was my first fight.
I remember you telling me that.
He wouldn't fight it. So I got that guy, and I said, all right. And it was probably a bad idea, I got choked out like the first round, but we live and we learn. So,
You're gonna lose a couple. Not everybody can go undefeated. But what do you do when you lose those matches and try to bounce back? Like how does camp for the next match change?
I think a lot of it changes. Like, obviously, if the style of opponent changes, and
Just your training.
Yeah, you're gonna adjust the training and everything. You gotta address how you lost to and figure out what went wrong here and stuff like that. But And
Probably
then,
helps you continue to grow as an MMA fighter.
yeah,
in general.
definitely. Yeah, you learn from your mistakes. You know, and you don't. And I'm like, you, so, wow, you got to learn from your mistakes. So, but you know, hey, I've made the same mistake quite a few times, and
Yeah.
still do it sometimes. But
Adapt and survive. That's all that matters. But I mean, sometimes those mistakes can work on other people. You
yeah,
never know.
but your mindset changes too. Like, you know, after a loss or whatever, it can mess up with your confidence and everything. So some guys it can kill their confidence. Some guys it can make them drive them to train even harder and then come in hot for the next fight. Like, okay, I'm not going to move. Absolutely.
Well, you're obviously on a win streak. When are we going to see you with a belt around your waist? Hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon. This fight is going to be for 559 fights. This is their second pro card.
Okay.
So whenever they start, you know, putting on title fights and everything, you'll see who the champ is and things like that.
We have Sergio's email.
I was
I'm
gonna say,
telling him
come
right
on,
now, we better
Sergio.
see a belt around this boy's waist at some point, or at least a shot at one.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what are you looking forward to with this next one? I know this next one's in Porterville, right?
Yeah.
It's not in the usual Visalia area. So what can people expect?
It's a good venue. It's 21 and over, so you got to be 21. You can gamble, that's great.
I bet on the fight.
Yeah, and yeah, and it's super close to Bakersfield. So this fight is also, I think, it's gonna be on ESPN Plus on Fight Pass.
Nice.
There we go.
UFC Fight Pass. So if you're at home, and, you know, obviously not everybody wants to drive to the casino.
Right.
Um,
But I mean, at this point, I mean, you guys growing ever more every single time with each of these fights, that's got to be exciting. I
Yeah.
mean, being on ESPN, is
Yeah.
this your first one that's going to be televised?
no, I've had one or two that were.
Oh, okay.
But this is another one. So.
559 packs the house, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah, it'll
you
be
look at
sold
their
out.
YouTube pages. I mean, you guys released the fights dang near that night, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and
Like
it's
that week or
always
something.
packed out.
Yeah.
So
They always sell out. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it'll be good. This is gonna be a good fight. I mean, I think everybody should be expecting fireworks.
I hope so. I
yeah.
mean, well, we're expecting fireworks as long as you win. That's all that matters at this point.
You know our boys got it.
That's what I'm saying. But I swear, if I don't hear, we don't talk about Bruno within the next 2 to 3 fights, right? We're gonna have some words.
I got you.
And I'll tell you, 559fights.com. Get your tickets while you can.
118, correct? Is that the one's coming up? Is it 119?
119.
119. Okay. That's right. Yeah, we just had those 118.
Yeah.
I always get them.
Yeah.
They're a little
119 on the 19th of October.
Absolutely.
Get your tickets, 559fights.com, and we'll be bugging Sergio and get you back in here with the belt.
Yes, sir. And go ahead and use code SBruno at your checkout if you buy them online.
Does that get you a good
That
discount?
will give me ticket sales.
Oh, there you go.
You'll throw me a couple bucks.
Absolutely.
So
do
if
it.
you want to come watch me, then put in promo code capital S Bruno capital B.
Fantastic. Okay.
That's the promo code.
Awesome. Well, we'll put that up on our socials for you as well, so that way we'll get some tickets to it. My friend, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you as always. And like I said, next time we see you in here, it better be for a title fight. If not, Sergio, we're gonna have some words with you as well, my friend. This is the early bird special. We got to take a break facing the Bills. We'll help you out with your fantasy football team on the other side with our waiver wire Wednesday. This is the early bird special on 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. ESPN Bakersfield.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m., as well as streaming video live every single weekday.
Shout out to our boy Sal. He is
Absolutely.
one of my favorite fighters that has come on the show.
I mean,
That guy's mentality,
I can't say we've had a single 5'9" guy that hasn't been fun to talk to, at least. And
I'm playing favorites in because
I know, but don't get me wrong. Sal is definitely. There's a reason he's the first one to come back twice.
that's why he's the bull.
Absolutely. And we're going to have a lot of these other guys coming back in as well. You will see Jesus Navarrete back in here eventually, I'm sure, as well as a couple of the champions that will rejoin us, as well as some faces you haven't seen yet, because there are plenty of fighters in 559 that you need to go check out. And if they're already getting nods from ESPN Plus on the app, I'm telling you right now, there's some of those names you might see at the UFC level.
They're on their way up.
They're on their way. It is what it is. But we got to help you guys with your fantasy football teams, because it is a rough week 5 now that it is time for the bye weeks to start. We have, I believe, 5 teams on a bye this week: the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Packers, the Falcons. Oh, Lord, I'm drawing a blank on the other 2.
The one that hit me was the Packers, but
Right. And again,
and the Falcons, my damn running back. But
unfortunately,
I'm glad I got both of my starting running backs out this week. Get it over with.
Yes.
I got Jacobs. I've got Bijan. I've got them. I'm hurting at receiver now, though, because now with Tyreek out and Neighbors out, I'm like, okay, it's time to switch it up. So waiver wire Wednesday, we'll start at the quarterback position, and I'll just throw out
110%.
mine. I'm rolling with Jackson Dart.
God, get out of my head, kid.
And I'm just saying, because
out of my
not
head.
only did the kid look good, but he's playing the Saints this week in a dome. I like the attitude the kid has. And yes, I know Neighbors is out, but I think, with several different receivers, I think he'll find his groove. And if it's just for a week, it can't hurt.
I'm telling you right now, if you were smart like I and picked up Wan'Dale Robinson from the Giants, who was a fantasy stud last year and a fantasy stud for the first couple weeks of the season, you're going to be a happy person here with the New York Giants. I also took Jackson Dart. Right now with the quarterback position, it is pretty bare. I know a lot of you are probably looking at maybe Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith in that waiver wire. Tua, it's hard to pick any of those guys just because of how bad they've played in the first quarter of the season. I agree with Sparky, although statistically Jackson didn't do a whole ton to be flashy in game 1. He still got the job done, scored a solid amount of points, and the Saints give up 28th in the NFL. They are 28th in fantasy football right now in points given to quarterbacks. That's a great sign for the rookie quarterback. And like I said with our guy with our guy Renegade Rob, I apologize. This is essentially a homecoming game for Jackson Dart. If you don't think that the fan base of Ole Miss is going to be coming down there to support their guy, you are crazy. This is going to be a great showing for Jackson and probably the second win of his NFL career.
At running back, it is touchy. There's not
a lot.
That is bare.
There's
and
not a lot.
One name that stuck out for me was Woody Marks in Houston. I know we're all waiting to see, the Chubb of pass, which isn't there.
I don't think it is.
And I'm not sure if, the Woody Marks blowing up last week in week 4 with 119 yards and 2 scores will roll over to this week. But if you're hurting like I am at running back, especially with the bye weeks, I think Woody Marks might be worth the flyer.
Once again, get out of my head. I have Woody as well. I mean, at this point, I agree with you. I don't think the Nick Chubb thing is working in Houston. I picked up Nick late in our drafts just because I knew Joe Mixon was out, thinking maybe he'd be getting those touches. It has not been the Nick Chubb we remember from Cleveland, but to be fair, it really wasn't the Nick Chubb that we remember in Cleveland at the end of his time with Cleveland. So at this point, it is really up in the air. And just like the Saints, the Ravens defense, as good as they look on paper, give up last. They are last in fantasy football, 32nd right now in points given up to running backs. Woody Marks might be that guy to at least get you through this bye week if you do need somebody. So I'm going with Woody as well.
And wide receiver, you already said it. Wendell Robinson is the name I picked. With Malik Neighbors out, he's going to get his targets. And I believe I saw him available in 5 of the 7 leagues I'm in.
Roughly,
so
yeah. This is a guy that really doesn't get a lot of looks, and I don't know why. He gets plenty of balls thrown to him. He catches each and every one. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a young Harry Douglas with Atlanta when he was overlooked because obviously you had Julio, Roddy White, Calvin Ridley, all these other guys that were bigger than him.
Harry Douglas was always a consistent threat, caught every ball that went to him, and was that guy when they needed him to be. I think Wan'Dale's in the same boat.
I think he's good for 10, 15 points.
Every week, every single week. And this is the first one, though, that we do differ. I did not take Wan'Dale because personally, if you haven't picked up Wan'Dale Robinson in your leagues yet, you're crazy. I don't know what you're waiting on. Personally, my choice, Marvin Mims from Denver. Here's the thing. And this only works for those of you who are in PPR leagues, because if you're not in a PPR league, shut this off. You don't get points for return yards. Marvin Mims not only is Bo Nick's favorite deep threat ball or deep threat for his deep balls, but he is also the return man for Denver. Even when he only had one catch in a game, he scored 8 points. This guy will get you the points you need if you need someone to fill in at the flex spot. It won't be flashy. It won't be great, I'm sure. But 10% rostered in every NFL fantasy football league right now. They're going against the Eagles, who are not going to be worried about Mims. They're going to be focused on Sutton and a lot of these other pieces that they have, J.K. Dobbins. So I think Marvin Mims is perfectly primed to have a great day in the return game and a great day at wide receiver for the Denver Broncos.
And I will sprinkle in a little hidden one that might be worthy, depending on if you're in a 10 or a 12-man league.
Mhm.
But I will say Malik Washington of Miami with Tyreek out. I talked to you about it in the on the offseason. This kid, not only if you're in a PPR league, because he is the punt returner, the kick returner, he's already ran back a touchdown this year. I will say he's going to step up at that wide receiver 2 offside, opposite of Waddle. And I will also say that they picked up Cedric Wilson yesterday after putting Tyreek on the pup and cutting Cam Smith. There is going to be somebody that has to catch the ball over there, and I'll go into the tight end because I'm 50-50 on the tight end position. One, we've said this guy's name several times. Strange in Jacksonville. He gets his looks.
He did last week.
Obviously, we don't like Trevor Lawrence or Trevor Lawrence. I'm not sold on Trevor Lawrence. I've already had to cut him this league. But I will say the other one that is available in a lot of leagues is Darren Waller. Yes, he only played 3 quarters last week. Yes, he only had 2 catches. But yes, they were both 2 touchdowns. And I've been telling you since the offseason, Tua loves his tight ends. He made Jonnu Smith his career year last year. He did the same thing with Gesicki over in Cincy, who has just fell off the planet. Has
not been the same tight end since leaving Miami.
But I will say Darren Waller will get his looks, and if you're looking for a deep tight end, I've seen in almost every league, Darren Waller is the top tight end to pick up. But I will say they're in Carolina this week. Carolina's going to play them tough, whether it's Miami doing Miami things, playing up or down to teams they play. I would expect Waller to get 5 or 6 looks at least.
This is how you know me and him have worked way too long together, because synergy, baby. I got Darren Waller as well. 27th in fantasy points given up by the Carolina defense to tight ends. Darren Waller had a great showing out in his first week, 2 touchdowns, as Sparky just mentioned. And to be honest with you, I expect that ball to be fed to him every single time he's on the field, no matter how little that is. He still is trying to get back into football shape, but once he does, you're looking at one of the best tight ends in football. He was when he was with the Raiders, and he will continue to be, I feel, with this offense in the McDaniels situation. Because like we said yesterday, it's not just Tua. Mike McDaniels has never had a team where he hasn't had a tight end that's worth a damn. So at this point, he's going to make Darren Waller that tight end. I think there's a reason that they pulled him out of retirement. They knew that he still had it in him. I think he knows he still has it in him. And I think this week against Carolina, you're going to see the Darren Waller of old, and we're going to see potentially a 100-yard game from him. I think it's going to be that kind of a day, especially with Tyreek Hill out. Waddle, you would like to say, can step up into that number 1 spot, but Tua needs somebody with consistency. And who better than your big tight end that used to play wide receiver, that somehow every time he's on the field can get open, find that hidden spot, and just sit in it and be perfectly fine. So those are your picks for us for the week in terms of waiver wire. Again, sorry we don't have a defense or special teams for you, but there are not a whole ton in the waiver wire. If you weren't able to pick up a top 25 defense, it really is a matchup by matchup thing. So if you find anybody, like if for some reason you're in a league where the Giants defense is still out there going against the Saints, highly recommend you pick them up. It is really kind of a matchup by matchup thing this year when it comes to the special teams. So that is all we got for you guys this week in terms of our waiver wire Wednesday. Let's take a break real quick. On the other side, we'll talk about a handful of these injuries that are going around the league, including Tyreek Hill and Brock Purdy, because there's a lot of question marks from the San Francisco camp of should they even play him until he's 100%. We'll let you know our thoughts on the other side of the break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield.
like trying to calm us all down today. This is the early bird special right here on ESPN Bakersfield.
Guy, man.
I'm sorry.
His
That's
tone in all his songs, I'm like, this fool is not supposed to be on the mic.
Look, there's
But
a lot of people
he's
in
wild.
music today
I
that are
loved
not
it.
supposed to be on the mic. Okay, there are a ton of people that should not have a microphone, and a lot of them. I shouldn't say a lot of them. A lot of people blame T-Pain for that. I don't.
Auto-tune.
But see, here's the thing. T-Pain can sing. He didn't even need auto-tune. He just did it to sound different. Y'all just copied. You can't blame him for you guys being followers. I'm just saying.
Well, going back to the NFL injuries, I mean, the
Yes.
Tyreek thing, it is a bad thing, but
Are we still in the career-ending category, though, you think?
well, the sound of his agent yesterday, it said he underwent the major procedure to repair a dislocated left knee, multiple torn ligaments, including his ACL, but his agent says the surgery was so good that no further surgeries will be required, and the goal is to be ready for the start of the 2026-27 season.
Yes.
That
So
was
good
weird to
question.
just say
I
27.
know. Trust me, I'm still trying to find a way to get over the fact this is the 2025-26 season.
But as a Dolphins fan, I had to do a little dig deep in and find out, okay, well, obviously we don't want to release the guy
No.
after this. Obviously, they have one more year left on his contract. And part of the deal was he gets like $1.7 million per game of bonuses this season. So we're saving money just because he's not going to play the last, 13, 14 games.
Yeah.
But a part of it is now that the injury that they can release him post early March when the season official it just begins.
Which wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.
And
to be
I
honest.
see that, especially with probably the ending of the GM, the coach, and probably Tua, depending on how this season ends and who comes in. If it's Gruden, like the world says, if it's Belichick, they're probably going to want to start with their own regime.
Yes.
I would think. But as a money thing, it was almost the same thing as with Tua. If Tua doesn't end the season, which he almost jackass last week, ran the ball and got popped in the head, and luckily he bounced up and smiling. I was like, okay.
Orlovsky commented on that. He even said like his history and stuff like that.
What are you doing?
He was so worried when he got hit. We all have
Even
that
Tua knew.
moment watching football where someone gets hit and you're like, ooh, like, okay, that's traditional. This is not what Orlovsky said. Orlovsky went, oh,
no.
Oh, God.
Yeah, when Tua ran it, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, don't do that. Second of all, and it was one of his best friends that was the one that got the late hit on him.
That should be enough to tell you Tua should not be allowed to run the ball ever.
And he should just have a zap dog, like a
shot collar, 100%. When you pass the line of scrimmage, you get zapped to go right back down.
But overall, I think this is probably going to work out for both sides. I think Tyreek wants a new, fresh start if he is able to come back. But seeing the successful surgery and it looks, as long as, he's 31, 32.
That's the good thing. I mean, that's the whole point. And that was the worry that we had yesterday while talking about this. The first thing that came out of my mouth, at least, was, is this career ending? Because it's a gnarly injury. This is not a traditional injury for a wide receiver. Not only is it a torn ACL, it was a dislocated knee, and multiple ligaments were damaged. Not just the ACL. So what's going to say that he does try to go back out there, try to play at his fullest capabilities, and while running a route, pop. There goes the LCL, the MCL, all of the rest of the knee. You know what I mean?
That's my worry, is because a lot of these receivers, especially receivers or running backs that, make their money running
and cutting.
And when they work so hard on one side, that the other side is a bit weaker because it's not worked on as much. But
now
hopefully
did he catch a pass over 30 yards during that game?
Oh, yeah. He did the week before, too.
He broke the record. Okay. I was about to say, now we're sitting here looking at 2 straight years without a 30-yard pass to Tyreek Hill.
He was on pace the last 2 games. He looked good, but
he did. Especially that last game. 6 catches, 66 yards. I mean, I thought for sure we were going to have a day. And again, it ends that way. That's just kind of how football rolls sometimes.
Just as a
You
football
hate to see
fan,
it though.
hopefully he can recover and get back into rehab and get back on the field next season. I just don't think it'll be in Miami. But the second injury that we wanted to talk about was the Brock Purdy. Was he rushed back in,
Yes.
you think?
I think he's rushing himself, though. I don't think
course.
Kyle Shanahan is the one that's rushing him. I think Brock wants to be out there. I know there's a lot of drive, especially for the quarterbacks. I mean, I was listening to an interview yesterday with Matthew Stafford on the McAfee show. They were talking about that. And they were talking about him getting the epidural shot in his back and how painful it was, not physically, but emotionally for Matt not to be out there with his team during preseason, during training camp. So these guys care that much. I think that this is what happens though when you wrongfully push yourself too hard and try to come back from these injuries, especially multiple injuries, because Brock's not just dealing with one thing. He's got a bad shoulder and a bad toe, both in which can affect you as a quarterback. So personally,
And they're playing early this week.
Yeah,
They got the Thursday game against the Rams.
I know he's gonna play because it's just Brock Purdy, but personally, I think you should keep him out. I think Mac Jones did enough to be able to say he can sustain a winning record for you.
And as long as Christian McCaffrey is staying up,
right?
I mean, I think, especially with the short week, I think this would be a perfect time to just roll with Mac, give him 10, 11 days, get him ready for the following week.
Right. And the only thing that I'm kind of concerned about, if it isn't Brock that's pushing himself to come back early, because it's entirely possible it's not, and I'm just off base with this, because one thing that was brought up was the amount of money that the Niners are paying him. And that's, for those of you who don't think that factors in, it does. It genuinely does. An owner is not going to pay a player over $100 million for him to sit on the bench, Arthur. But anyways, at this point, for Brock Purdy, if it isn't him rushing himself back, I do feel like there might be some pressure from the San Francisco 49er front office that is saying, we're paying this guy a lot of money to play football. He should be playing football, even if he's got a banged up shoulder, which is a ridiculous claim if that is the case. But personally, I'm going to stand on what I said. I think you should bench him for this week. Not because of how bad he played or if he played, bad in the loss.
Well, he did look bad.
He did look bad. But at the same time, I think, again, it's all stemming from lingering toe injury, bad shoulder, and you're expecting him to take all of these hits and throw to guys that, let's be honest, aren't the best at their positions. You're still waiting for Brandon Ayuk to come back.
When's that coming? It's gotta be
Week
soon.
6 or 7, I believe, is the scheduled time. And I mean, all you really have right now on that offense is Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle is banged up. Ricky Parasol is playing, but he's banged up. I mean, Jennings looks solid, but I mean, I haven't necessarily seen the same Jennings we saw last year. And maybe that's because he's no longer the third option. Maybe everybody's actually focusing on him now that Debo's gone. So when you're the 49ers, you've started this season out on the right foot. You're 3-1. Honestly, probably could have been 4-1 if you didn't start Brock. I genuinely, it's a weird thing to say. Oh yeah, 4-1 or 4-0. I apologize. I think for sure that if you had started Brock Purdy against the Jacksonville Jaguars, you probably would have had a better shot to win that game. And that's wild for me to say. But it's just because of these lingering injuries. It's a concern. It has to be a concern. So if I'm the 49ers, again, I would stop trying to pressure these guys coming back from injury quickly. I know you've had a long history. You've had a long couple years with the injury bug. And I am starting to feel bad for you, if I'm being completely honest. Somebody put a hoodoo vex on y'all, and it's not looking any better. But at this point, you need your guys healthy to be successful. So if your guy isn't 100%, much like we said about Matthew Stafford at the beginning of the year, don't play him.
It's a long season.
Don't play him. You're 1/4 of the way through the season. You're still winning. You have no reason to rush anybody back. You really don't. So if I'm the 49ers, I am seriously considering telling Brock, you're going to take a seat this week. We're going to start Mac. And then next week, we will reassess this and see if you are physically ready to come back at 100%. That's all you really need to do. But again, we'll see what happens. Like Sparky said, They are the Thursday night game. We will get you all of the info on that tomorrow before the game. Unfortunately for you baseball fans, if there are multiple wild card games, you will not be able to hear your baseball game here on ESPN Bakersfield just because the NFL does rule the world.
Duh.
So, and you know, we've got a hierarchy here, people. We do.
Exactly. But we'll take our break. We'll get to your text. We'll wrap up this show, preview tomorrow's show, because we know we'll be live.
Oh, yes, we
That's
will.
all we know. Right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
Sorry, I'm not a fan. I love it. I do not like her.
I love her, man.
I do not like her. I'll take her. I know you will. But the only positive side of hearing this is that Mike is still a thing. Why and the rest of it, to be honest. But
That's the only thing I don't like.
what? You
I'm not
are not a
saying-
Lincoln Park fan. I
No,
don't
I'm
hear
not.
this.
Of course I'm not. But I do like her voice.
I don't. She's a great singer. I'm not saying she's
But no
not
one's going to
talented.
replace Chester. But
awesome to hear. Like I said, man, I've been
numb.
I've
every
been
day of the week.
unpleasant of the rock scene in the last
Oh no, me,
5
you
or
and me
6
both.
years.
Rock is dead.
And when it's coming back, when you need Limp Bizkit back,
Yeah,
there's
Rock
a
is dead.
problem.
Rock has been dead. I mean,
Rock died to me when Lil Wayne dropped the Rock album. Rock died to me when
I never
Korn
listened to
dropped
it.
a dubstep album.
When
I
Philly
love
left.
Jonathan. I will have every member of Korn on this show any day of the week.
And still my
Love
favorite
all
Korn
of you.
album
100%.
is
But
Jonathan Davis's solo.
yeah, that
He does
again.
not get any love for that Black
No, he does
Labyrinth album.
not. And honestly, that first song right before, like with the crying afterwards, and like that you literally felt the emotion and all
Oh,
of
yeah.
that. But regardless, Rock has not been the same probably since 2000. I can honestly say. I think
It
it's
took
been
that major hit when Chester passed too,
it
but
did well, and Chris Cornell and a lot of
of
these other
course.
guys.
But let's get into some of these texts as we've got a couple. Malik Washington, Cooper Kupp, or Downs to replace
I am
Tyreek.
So Downs, if you have Romeo Down, or no, I'm sorry, I'm thinking Romeo Dobbs. I apologize.
Which is on a bye. So
which
I
is on a
saw
bye,
a couple
so that
people
doesn't help me.
say they grabbed him, but forgot that he was on a bye week.
Which is fine. Keep him because he looks fantastic out there. Golden looks solid too, but he hasn't really evolved into that number one we were kind of hoping he'd be yet. So I think Dobbs is going to get a lot of touches. I am so out on Cooper Kupp. I don't know what it is with Seattle.
I
Maybe
already
they just
cut him,
I don't think they're going to use him like we thought they would.
and they're only bringing him in on certain downs.
Yeah, and it bugs me. I'm like, dude, really? You're going to sit there and tell me that you have I'll give you Jackson Smith-Njigba. I will give you Jackson. But you're going to sit there and tell me the rest of those receivers are better than Cooper?
And I thought after, letting DK go, letting, the other veteran receivers,
Lockett being
Lockett, I was like, oh,
and
Kupp's going to fit in perfect.
exactly.
Nothing.
And this being a homecoming for him, going back to Washington, I don't know what Seattle's doing with Cooper, but I am so far out on Cooper Kupp right now. I wouldn't touch him. What was the other one? I'm sorry. Downs and
Malik.
I would probably go with Sparky here and go with Malik Washington. I think that he's going to get a lot more targets now with Tyreek.
And if it's a PPR, he does kick return and punt
yes.
return. He's already got one ran back. So
if your league is a PPR league and you don't get points for return yards, you need to have a conversation with your commissioner.
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous. But yeah, so that's a double.
The last one with football says Eagles D against Detroit, or no, against Denver or Seattle at home.
Against the Niners. As it sits right now, if Brock Purdy plays, I say go with Seattle. Because obviously you're dealing with an injured Brock Purdy. We saw what the Jacksonville Jaguars defense was able to do against them last week, and it'd be a safer bet that you
Seattle's
get more points out
got
of them.
the Bucks.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they got the Rams this week. What am I talking about? Then definitely not. I'd probably go with the Eagles against the Lions.
Yeah.
That sounds like a safer
Eagles
bet.
D actually came back to life, and I've got him. I didn't start him, of course, when they put up 30 points, but some baseball text we got says Dodgers are coming for the Phillies.
Of course you guys think that. That's cute. We'll see you guys in Philly.
The next one says, I know you guys want the Phillies and Mariners, but I don't think Phillies are going to get past the red hot Dodgers.
Red hot Dodgers. Man, the level of Delulu. Okay,
they had a
again,
game.
fine. Yes, you look great against the Reds, a team with literally one bat. What are you going to do against Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, the hit leader, by the way, Trey Turner, the guy who led the entire NL in average? You guys are really, again, I can't wait for the series. This is going to be a fun baseball series to watch in general. My only concern is Philly's pitching, because we don't have our best pitcher in Wheeler, and we definitely don't have our arguable best relief pitcher in Alvarado. So that's going to be a little bit of a shocker for us. But
and the last one says, don't count out my Yankees.
Look, man, I wanted to believe in your Yankees. I was sitting here in this studio where Sparky's at right now, watching the end of the Yankees and Red Sox game, cheering you guys on. When I saw the first hit by Goldschmidt, I said, okay, here we go. Judge comes up, cracks one in the center, first pitch. That was fantastic. And it was a ball that he should never have touched. It was a 100-mile-an-hour fastball in the corner, but he still was able to rope it in there. Belly hit a shot to the left center that probably should have hit in Goldie, but I understand why he didn't run. It's a little shaky. Don't know if he's going to catch it. But I was telling Ralph Bailey from our sister station, because we were watching it at the same time. We both agreed I would have went. If I'm Paul Goldschmidt, I would have booked it. I would have booked it from second and tried to make it home. Even if they threw me out, it wouldn't have mattered. You need the runs. But when it mattered most, you had the bases loaded for your best bases loaded hitter. And yes, Stanton is your best bases loaded hitter. Didn't matter. Chapman was able to figure it out. I think the Yankees made key mistakes before the game was even started that led to your guys' loss. And it has everything to do with the bench and how you guys structured this entire lineup. You played perfectly into the Red Sox hands when you had your entire bench all lefties. How is that supposed to help against somebody like Aroldis Chapman? If you know baseball, lefty versus lefty, righty versus righty, not favorable. So I think the Yankees just made key mistakes that caused them to fall short.
We've got some news from Adam Schefter. Bucks running back Bucky Irving is dealing with a foot sprain. He is at practice in crutches and a walking boot. Buccaneers do not fear Irving's foot sprain as a long-term injury, but they do consider him week to week.
Yeah, well, better for your Seattle pick there, listener. But at this point, after the week he had last week too, that sucks. Because he had one of those games last week where we're starting to sit there and think, okay, we found a new wide back number one, or a new Bucky's really kind of taken over that spot from last year, but he's still fighting for carries along with White, a lot of those other guys. So,
and it looks like the Braves' Brian Snitker will not return.
Saw that
as Braves manager.
And I don't know if I respect him for making that decision on his own, but I don't think he was the reason. They just, again, like the 49ers, you have a very talented roster, but just hit the injury bug. You hit that wall, and it's hard to win games when your best players aren't on the field. Like they say, the best ability in sports is availability. And when you're not your team's not going to win. I mean, you got Acuna back this year. It started a fire for Atlanta, just wasn't enough to really get things going, and their pitching core was devastated this year. So it sucks to see for the Atlanta Braves fans out there. I do know a couple of them that are here in Bakersfield. I feel for you guys, but next year might be a little bit different for the Braves. You still have to deal with my Phillies, though. And no love lost there. I'm sorry. When we play each other, I'm not going to be nice. When we don't play each other, I respect you. It's like the Dodgers. But I'm telling you right now, for all you Dodger fans out there, I will be here every single day waiting for that NLDS matchup, baby. Kyle Schwarber against Shohei Ohtani. Bryce Harper against Freddie Freeman. Mookie Betts against Trey Turner. This is going to be some fun baseball, baby. And plenty to watch and listen to right here on ESPN. We got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen and some Wildcard baseball. Sparky, let's get out of here.